Hey everybody, it's Mike from Missouri. I have another Facebook Marketplace find. An old Sears 2-ton floor jack. And I'm going to tell you why I picked this thing up. So the reason I picked up I should say, this floor jack is because mainly it was free. But secondly, it reminds me of the one that I used to use with my dad out in the shop. The one I used to use as a child growing up was a 4-ton unit, was almost twice this long, but it was the same color scheme, same vintage, and it just reminds me of it. I have yet to ever see another one of those long 4-ton vintage Sears jacks. I've found a few Google pictures of them, but really I don't know that I want one that's that long. I don't really have a need. If you don't know anything about these are really good jacks. They're made in Japan and just well made. You seldom have any major repair necessary to them. I'm not doing a restoration on this. I like the way it looks. I'm going to clean it up and do mechanical repair only. I'm going to tear into the hydraulics on this thing and see what's causing it to not function. But before we do that, let me show you what it's doing. All right, I've got the lever tightened down to close the relief valve or bypass, and you can see it pumps up. Well, actually it doesn't even, it wants to pump up. That's about all I can get out of it. It sinks down. So that's the problem that we're going to fix. Before we tear it down, I just want to make note of how similar this Harbor Freight jack is to a 1970-ish jack. It almost looks like it was copied exactly. I'm going to degrease and power wash this to make it more enjoyable to work on. We know the problems in the hydraulics, so this is the reservoir and the cylinder and pump underneath this top plate. So we need to get this pump assembly out, and it looks like the wheels have to come off to get to it. Now, don't know if I can get this impact in there enough. Yes, I can. Actually, I could see the pump dropping down. So yeah, it's just the back bolts of the wheels that are holding this on. There's the piston. Okay, got the piston pushed back in there. Need to disconnect the cylinder here from the actual lift assembly or mechanism. Looks like there's a cotter. Looks like there's a cotter key right here. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze together the cotter key on the back side. I should be able to pull it up now. There we go. Okay, so it looks like the spring here has to be disconnected. You need to push that piston back up so I can take the tension off the spring. Okay. I'm gonna have to take it off from the other side. It's gotta, well, okay. I see what's going on. So this spring is what makes the jack go down quickly. It retracts the pump all the way, or the jack part all the way. Once I get this spring off, I'll be able to pull this rod out of this holder because the circlip isn't in anymore, or the cotter key, I mean. All right, this should just come right out now. There we go. So we're pretty much gonna set all of this aside. So our problem isn't in there, the problem is in here. Okay, I'm going to take the piston pump part back out so I can drain the fluid. It's in really good shape with no scoring on it. Fluid's pretty clean. This plug out. This is the fill plug. Well, it's definitely full. All right. And this is just a lip seal up top and then an O-ring seal down below. I don't see any cuts or tears. So I do not think our problem is in there. And here are likely to be springs and check valves, like a ball check, a little BB. The problem could be in here, but I'm willing to bet it's probably on the main rod seal, like it's ripped or torn from someone trying to lift too much with it maybe, or just old age and it got dry rotted. So I'm going to start with taking this cap off, and that'll allow us to get into the seal. You can buy kits for this for around $50. I'll spend that if I need to, but If I can just get by with a rod seal for 10 bucks or so, I'm probably going to go that way. Leaking. This vise has copper jaws to keep from marring up the surfaces. Okay, I'm going to use a 24-inch Diamond crescent wrench. I can see the problem already. I'll clean it up and give you a good look at it. Okay, here is the rod and what's left of the seal. It's all cracked out here, so that's why I can't build any pressure. Can't build any pressure under and push it up, it just bleeds off or pushes past. We'll take this circlip off, see if we can see any numbers on that. It's pretty toasted. It's just inspecting this bore, and that's the rest of the seal all crumbled up down there. So that's all gonna have to come apart and get cleaned up. We'll remove these caps because there's likely debris inside the check balls and orifices because of all that material that's down in there. I'm going to use an impact driver to get this one loose. It was a small and then a big ball came out. Looks like there's another check ball underneath there. A couple of sealing washers. Originally, I didn't take anything out of here because there's this like rubber cap and I didn't know what it was. But I did some research and it's the bypass. So if you overload the jack, the valve in here opens and bypasses the fluid so you don't damage it. I screwed this down until it bottomed out after I marked its location, and it was just over 1.5 turns. I'm going to go ahead and take it out just to make sure there's no debris in there. be a spring. Then the valve itself. There we go. And I'm gonna go clean that port out. Okay, really wasn't anything in there. I'm gonna reassemble everything. Spring. This sets the preload on the spring. So we'll run it all the way down to the bottoms. And back it off just over 1.5 turns. Okay. Half, 1. There we go. It was about, oh, it was right there. Okay. Put the little safety plug back in. I think that's just to deter people from trying to make any adjustment. Now, the small check ball went first, then the large one. And the plug. I'll give it one smack with the impact driver. There we go, that's right where it was. Okay, now for the mechanism that releases the pressure to let the stuff go down. There's a check ball in there. This piece, when it screws in, pushes on the check ball, which pushes against the seat. Okay, now the piston, I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline on here. Help this go down in. All right. Okay, I have the rod all cleaned up. We can start reassembly. A little bit of Vaseline. circle clip needs to go on. All right, there we go. Okay, we're ready to get the rod in. We use plenty of Vaseline on this. You don't want to tear the seal going in. Also don't want so much that it causes a problem, but there you go. There it is. And now, cap. These seals seem fine to reuse. It's recommended to replace them, but I'm not spending much money on this jack. I'm going to put an initial fill of fluid in here, and automatic transmission fluid works fine as jack oil. It's really close to being full. Probably over full actually by the time I stroke this piston back. It's gonna probably want to squirt out of there. I don't want to go too fast and spray it all over the place. Yeah, I'm going to compress this back in, and more than likely it's going to have too much fluid in the reservoir. Alright, is it all the way down? So that's going to be when the jack is at rest. I want to just get just a tad more fluid out of here. There we go. Now we'll put the plug back in, and it's really should be about perfect as far as fill level. Could still be slightly overfilled. There it is. Okay, I'm ready to put this back on the frame. Rotate this hole for the cotter key to Can I get that down in the... Ouch. Almost got my fingers there. But I didn't get the spring in the right spot, so it's got to come back out. Okay. There it is. Well, I made a mistake. This lever doesn't want to go all the way vertical. That's in backwards. It needs to be flipped around. So all that has to come back off. There we go. Moment of truth. I'm gonna get some oil on that. This mower is, I don't know, probably 1,000 pounds. Absolutely no problem. Let's try something a little harder. You know, forklifts are really heavy. Yep, it's going to lift the front. Well, I think it's safe to say that we got a sweet little jack that now works. Thanks for watching.